Hello and welcome to the Talk Villa YouTube channel. I'm your host Samit Paul, and unfortunately we're looking back on a dreadful start to the Premier League season for Aston Villa as we suffered a 4-0 defeat at Brighton on Sunday. Now, it was a shambolic first half performance in truth. Villa conceded all 4 goals in the opening 45 minutes. We saw Joao Gomes sent off just before the break as the game was already over by the interval. Now, Villa certainly weren't helped by a lack of options up front, as that denied us of having a striker who could lead the line, run the channels, offer an outball to the defenders, as instead we became pinned back in our own half, faced wave after wave of Brighton pressure, and were ultimately picked apart and split open time and time again. However, what was clear in this game, and specifically in the first half, was our poor defensive work, and that, for me at least, was a huge surprise, given it was Marco Bizot in goal. We had a back four consisting of Matty Cash, Victor Lindelof, Pau Torres and Ian Maatsen. Now, all 4 of those players, plus Bizot in goal, are experienced players, all with us last season. And so although we didn't have any firepower up front, the least we could have expected was a solid defensive performance to give us a chance to nick something from this game. But instead, we got this. So looking at Brighton's first goal, and this one is on Pau Torres. As you can see in the image on screen now, he has 2 options. It's either a simple pass into the Marco Bizot's feet for him to clear, or he avoids dangerous pass into the box altogether, turns onto his preferred left foot, and plays a pass up the line to Ian Maatsen. Instead, he plays a wayward pass with his right foot out of Bizot's path, and it leads to the all-important first goal of this game, after which Brighton did not look back and we just looked all over the shop. I thought Pau really struggled in this game with his decision making and distribution, and by no means was he the only one. I thought that was across the board with all of our defenders and midfielders, but this was such a poor way to concede the opening goal of the game, and I think that really sort of set the tone of what was to come. On to the lead up to the second goal, and looking at the second image on screen now, just look at the absolute state of our back line. It was a long ball played up from Brighton's defence over the top of our back 4. Lindelof is caught well out of position further up along with Matty Cash, and so Pau is forced to come across and cover. But this was the case all game in terms of getting our defensive line and offside trap completely wrong. Brighton played balls over the top and diagonal passes throughout the first half to catch us out. And so the problems have already started in this image when you look at how badly out of shape our back 4 is. They're quite literally all over the place. And so if you move on to the next image on screen now, the players advanced into our box. Neither Pau nor Cash have dealt with the threat from Ruta, I believe it is. Lindelof isn't switched on at all, and he's not guarding that space for the cutback in front of the near post. And then the ball is cut back. De Kuyper makes a great run, to be fair to him, but the defensive work is just woeful. He ghosts in, slots it home, and it's 2-0. For the third goal, it's more of the same. Maatsen is beaten to the initial header at the back post. And by the way, he's got 2 Brighton players to deal with here somehow. So he's got absolutely no chance of winning that duel against 2 players. Pau is caught out again with the headed pass. It's over his head into the box. And again, it's Lindelof. He's not goal side of his man. And Hinshelwood is there just to make it 3-0, tap home. Easy. All too easy for Brighton. And we've spoken about how valuable and how impressive Victor Lindelof has been since he arrived last season. He's put in some unbelievably good performances for us, even in that deeper midfield role. But defensively, I was really, really shocked with him in this game. And again, like I say, it's not singling him out for criticism because the whole back line was poor. Matty Cash was not in tune, in sync with the rest of the line, playing the offside trap throughout this game. But Lindelof was really poor for me. And like I say, it's all just so easy for Brighton. Again, it's not taking credit away from them because I thought they were excellent in the first half. The way that they applied the pressure, continued to probe and find ways to cut through us. But Villa were just sleepwalking at the back, and it was just so disappointing and shocking to see. On to the fourth goal now then, and this one is unfortunately on Joao Gomes, who had a nightmare afternoon in his debut for us. Now, just a quick note on this first. This is, I'm sure, what Emery wants from him. He wants him to receive the ball in our own half, escape pressure, and beat that first press from the opposition. That then allows him to play into the feet of our attacking players, who are then free to run directly at the opposition defence. We saw that play out in pre-season time and time again. Gomes is so good at evading pressure or fending pressure off with his physicality and combativeness. He skips away from challenges and then he's able to release the ball to a teammate. On this occasion, though, it just went badly wrong from him. And he'll learn from it, and he'll learn from the whole experience of this game because, as I say, it was a nightmare debut for us. So on this occasion, he's obviously got two options here. He can either turn with the ball when it comes into his feet and then immediately release Ian Maatsen down the left, who is in acres of space. Or, if he's feeling less confident at this stage of the game with what's happened, he can play a more conservative pass back to Marco Bizot, keep possession, and we can build out a different way. Instead, perhaps he's anticipating pressure to get to him quicker. He holds onto the ball, he takes one too many touches, he's still facing his own goal, and then he's ultimately dispossessed, and Hinshelwood makes it 4-0. So these are just the examples of the goals, and it was just a catalogue of individual errors from Villa players in this game defensively. And quite frankly, there weren't too many positive things to point out here, and it almost felt pointless to look at some of our threatening moments in more detail because ultimately it counted for very little given we didn't score. As we all know, you cannot make these type of mistakes at this level. We're going to get punished, and it's still just shocking to me at least that we saw Pau, Lindelof and the two fullbacks being guilty of such basic defensive errors, which made it look that they've never played alongside each other before or trained together. And that I felt was really surprising. As I say, lack of firepower, lack of options to lead the line up front. Okay, I went into this game thinking that we probably would struggle to get on the score sheet. Emi Buendia had that early chance, which he put wide. Maybe if that goes in, it's a completely different game because Villa can then play on the counter-attack and Brighton perhaps leave more space in behind for us to exploit as they push numbers forward to try and get back into the game. But ultimately, that obviously didn't materialise, and that was just followed, like I say, by a catalogue of individual errors, and collectively, defensively, we were nowhere near good enough in this game. So what were your talking points from our defeat at Brighton? What do you make of the Ollie Watkins situation? Now, that's obviously not something discussed here, but I'm keen to hear your thoughts as that was a massive factor in our struggles on Sunday and a big reason as to why we've lost. As I say, there was never an outball for a defender or a midfielder to release the pressure. There was no one up top leading the line, offering a target or running the channels, coming short to hold play up, just as effectively as we saw Brian Maggio do it against PSG. And again, like I say, it was just Buendia and Barkley doing the best they could in the situation. Had Watkins been playing, yeah, we would have had that outball. We would have had someone running the channels, alleviating that pressure by allowing Pau to pick his head up, find the pass and get the ball forward into a dangerous area. Instead, we were not able to do that, and the ball just kept coming back to us again and again as Brighton continued to push for another goal. Now, that was largely because Watkins has decided that he wants to leave, and although it hasn't been confirmed necessarily, it was heavily hinted by Unai Emery at least that he is refusing to play right now, as speculation obviously continues to link him with a move to Al Hilal. So let me know your thoughts. Leave your comments below on the game and the points that I've made on our defensive display and your thoughts on Watkins and that whole situation. Or you can head over to talkvilla.substack.com and get involved in the conversation over there. So that's a wrap on this episode. A big thank you as always for taking the time to have a listen. Please subscribe to the channel below and give this video a like. You can subscribe to the Talk Villa podcast depending on where you're listening. That's either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts. Please leave a positive review if you've enjoyed it. Sign up to the Talk Villa Plus newsletter on Substack for ad-free Villa news, opinions and analysis, all of which is delivered directly to your email inbox. All the details will be in the description of this podcast, but for more, please go to talkvilla.substack.com and subscribe with plenty more content available. So it was far from the start that we had hoped for from a brand new season. The combination of uncertainty off the pitch that we've had this summer once again, coupled with new signings needing time to get match fit and adapt, as well as still waiting for further reinforcements to make an impact and fill the voids left by those who have left us this summer. It's all contributed to a really poor start to the season again. We've got a week now until our next game. Let's cut the individual mistakes out, start with a solid defensive performance to give ourselves a foundation, and hopefully we'll get our current and incoming options firing in the coming weeks as we find our rhythm and get back to our level. We've started poorly in previous seasons recently. We look back at our rotten start to last season We got thumped by Newcastle in the opening game of the 2023-24 campaign. Emery and Villa found answers on those occasions, and I have no doubt that we will find those answers once again this season. But time and patience will be needed. I know that's hard in the Premier League, where every point seemingly counts. But this team has still got to gel. It's still got to find its top form. And so we are going to have to be patient, I believe. I'll be back next week with another episode looking back at the Arsenal game, and hopefully there's a lot more positives to look back and analyse in that one. But villains, it's not a good start. We've had a terrible, terrible start to the season again with this heavy, heavy defeat away at Brighton. But as I say, I'm sure we will find the answers and get back on track quickly with a positive response next week. Until next time though, up the Villa.